The only thing separating Mainoo from your Vitinhas of the world, your Pedris, yes, your Pedris of the world. The only thing separating Mainoo from these sorts of midfielders is proper development, proper working system, and just backing. Yo, you guys, what is good, man? Welcome back to Real United Talk, where we talk about all matters Real Madrid and Man United. This is going to be a United Matters episode, and I'm a bit tired right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I normally record during the day, but right now it's like 10:50, and I am tired. I'm tired. I just got back from gym and I'm tired, bro. But like, this is what I'm doing for you guys. This is what I'm doing to push out content. I always tell you at the end of every episode that I'm going to keep on pushing out content and stay consistent. And this is what I'm doing for you. So if you can just do something for me and just hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It will really mean a lot to me. As you guys know, this is a relatively new channel. So like, every subscribe button, every bit of help counts. So please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. But let's get into the video real quick. So today I'm going to be talking about Kobbie Mainoo, my favorite player in Man United, one of my favorite players in Man United. The competition is not that steep given, we don't have a lot of them players, but like, we're getting there. We're getting some players, your Mbeumo is there, your Cunha is there, we're getting a few good players and everything, but like, yeah, the competition is not that steep. But yeah, Kobbie, one of my favorite players in Man United, but it's high time that we discuss Kobbie Mainoo. It's high time we discuss how he works in Man United. It's high time that we discuss if he fits in this Ruben Amorim system. And honestly, I'm just going to start the video with some brutal honesty, some like honesty, bro. Like, Kobbie Mainoo does not fit in Ruben Amorim's system. Let's call a spade a spade. Kobbie Mainoo does not fit in this Ruben Amorim system. Honestly, like, let's be real. Like, where does he play? Like, he's not a DM. He doesn't fit in that 8. Maybe unless you put like the most hardworking midfielder in the world next to him, and he doesn't really fit in them camps. Like, he's honestly right now one of them players that, like, he's just kind of there. Like, he's just kind of there, and like, we have to make, like, he's just kind of there right now. Like, it's not working. And do I think it is ever going to work? That is what this video is about. Because in my opinion, in my humble opinion, Ruben Amorim has to make this work. Ruben Amorim has to make Kobbie Mainoo work in this system. Something has to give. And I'm not like, we signed, like, we got Amorim. We knew his style of play. We knew like the players that will fit and the players that will not fit. We needed some time to like assess and everything. And unfortunately for us, Kobbie Mainoo is one of those players that doesn't fit in this system. But he has to. We have to make it work. Ruben Amorim has to make it work. Kobbie Mainoo is not the type of player that, like, you have in your team and then you're just like, yeah, but he doesn't really fit. Like, we might have to let him go at some point, but like, we'll just try everything. Kobbie Mainoo is not that type of player, bro. Kobbie Mainoo is a player that you build around. Like, Kobbie Mainoo is a player that you move mountains for. Kobbie Mainoo is a player that you say, oh, this isn't working, fine, I'll change it. Yes, I believe that I believe that Kobbie Mainoo is a player that, like, you can build your team around. Like, obviously, like, maybe he's not there yet, like, in terms of, like, everything that, like, he's not there yet in terms of his development and everything, but he has the ability to be there. You don't stunt a player like Kobbie Mainoo's development. I think that this whole Ruben Amorim system is kind of like stunting Mainoo's development. And this isn't harsh words on Amorim. This isn't me saying Amorim needs to change everything. We signed him for a reason. I believe in this system. I believe that it works. I believe that it is going to work one day when everything gets put into place and everything. But even right now, as it is not working, while you're trying to make it work, make sure that there's a space in for Kobbie Mainoo. Make sure that there is a space in that midfield for Mainoo. Don't say, oh, like, he's there, and like, make sure it works. It has to work. You don't play around with a talent like Mainoo. You don't like, Amorim has already kind of said that, like, he has big plans for Mainoo and everything, and I back that, like, like, it's good to know that he has Mainoo in his plans, but you have to make it work. It's not just about words. You have to make it work. You don't allow a player like Mainoo to go to waste. You don't, because let's be real right now, yeah. With the way it works for Mainoo right now, I think that a lot of games are just passing him by. I think that the best time that I've seen Mainoo in a long time since Amorim signed was that West Ham game. That West Ham game, the first game of this whole preseason tour, I think that was like the best I've seen of mine. I think that that's the closest I've come to see like a plan for him. That's the closest I've come. But if we're being real, consistently, like, can that be consistent? Like, is that sustainable? I don't think so. Something needs to give. Mainoo has to work. You don't, like, I can't stress this enough. You don't allow a player like Mainoo to just go to waste. Right now, like I said, games are passing him by. Like, games are coming and going, and he's just kind of there. Sometimes he's not even there. He's on the bench. We bring him on, and we're like, yeah, play DM, play CM, play Cam. No. Where does he play? We need one position for him to play, and in that position needs to fit his strength. See, Mainoo is a talent, bro. Mainoo is a talent, and you can't let talent like that go to waste. Like, I understand that, when things like this come, like when a new system, new manager, and you want to back him and everything, I understand that when these times come, it's very difficult to kind of be like, oh yeah, but like ultimately he doesn't really fit and everything. And I understand that, like, you might not want to like change your whole thing for one player. I get that, but this is not like, this is a special player in my opinion. This is a special player. See, Mainoo, we already kind of like excelled Garnacho to a certain point. Like, like Garnacho is probably not going to be a Man United player next season unless we don't manage to sell him. He's not going to be a Man United player next season. And as much as like that already kind of started even before, like, part of it is that, like, we know that he will never fit in this whole Ruben Amorim system. Like, we know, like, there's no place for him. He doesn't fit in the cams. He's obviously not a striker, so we know that he doesn't fit. But the thing with Mainoo and Garnacho is that, like, Mainoo and Garnacho are not the same in terms of talent, in terms of ceiling. Mainoo's ceiling is, like, in my opinion, 10 times higher than Garnacho's. I've always felt that Garnacho was like a decent player and everything. I always think that, like, Garnacho goes somewhere else and he actually like balls out. Like, I think so. I think if Garnacho goes to like Syria, or no, not even Syria, La Liga. Garnacho is a La Liga player, bro. Garnacho is a La Liga player from the start, bro. We signed him from Atletico Madrid. This guy literally knows La Liga ball. And if Garnacho goes back to Atletico Madrid, bro, he will be one of the best wingers in the world, at least in La Liga. Quote me on that, bro. He might never go back, but like, if he did, he would be. If Garnacho goes to La Liga right now, starts playing for Real Betis, starts playing for freaking Atletico Madrid, I don't even like Celta Vigo, bro. Garnacho will be a top winger, but like, he's playing for Man United. I'm not saying that the Premier League doesn't suit him. I'm saying that other leagues might suit him more than the Premier League does, but that's not what this video is about. We've already kind of like excelled Garnacho. We've already kind of said it's never going to work for you, bro. Like, just find your way somewhere else. And I hear that. But you don't treat Garnacho and Mainoo the same way. Mainoo's ceiling is 10 times higher than Garnacho's ceiling, in my opinion. Mainoo has the ability, Mainoo has the potential to be one of the top midfielders in the world. See, now this is my opinion as well. The only thing separating Mainoo from your Vitinhas of the world, your Pedris, yes, your Pedris of the world, the only thing separating Mainoo from these sorts of midfielders is proper development, proper working system, and just backing. Those are the only things separating Mainoo from your Vitinhas, your Pedris, your freaking Caicedos, like all these midfielders that we're talking about, and we're talking about them with high praise. The only thing separating Mainoo from them is that, like, backing, that development, that proper system that works for him. Vitinha, when he was at Wolves, was a decent player, right? But look at him at PSG. Whole different story. Now, like, that can be due to different factors, separate factors and everything. But like, Vitinha did not start out as a world. Nobody thought that Vitinha would be a worldie. People knew that he was talented, but a worldie. Right now, Vitinha is probably one of the best midfielders in the world, if not the best. Why? He went to PSG in a system that works for him, manager backs him, everybody backs him, and now look at him. In terms of talent level, or even say that Mainoo potentially has more talent than Vitinha. Yes, quote me on that. Mainoo potentially has more talent, like in his locker, than Vitinha. Vitinha is very fancy. Vitinha is like a highly talented player. He has a lot in his locker. So that's a big claim. And part of this might be personal bias, obviously, but I don't give a damn. Mainoo is a highly talented player. Mainoo has the potential to be as big as the most talented midfielders in the world. Mainoo has the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the world, in my opinion. You don't allow a player like that to go to waste. You don't. You make things work. If there's a mountain in your way, you move that mountain for Kobbie Mainoo. Something needs to give. I don't know what needs to give. I'm not one of these guys, like, I'm not very, like, tactically inclined. Like, I cannot drop tactics here and there, being like, oh, this, then that, then this, then that. I can't. I only see things like surface level, base level. I give my opinion on stuff. Like, I'm not like that, right? But like, that's why I don't go into football management. Ruben Amorim is in football management. Something needs to happen, and I keep on saying this, and I keep on saying that. And I know it seems like if I made this whole video just to say that, but yes, I did make this whole video, this whole episode, just to say that something needs to give. You cannot allow a player like Mainoo to go to waste. See, Mainoo, if Mainoo was in any other academy, right? If Mainoo was in any other academy, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, bro, it would have been like a dream come true having him. Like, it would have been like a dream come true having him get promoted from the academy. Like, just seeing a player like that, like, like, they would have been like, oh my God, do you know how much you just saved us? Do you know how much money you just saved us? Why is it now Man United that when you have a player as talented as Mainoo, it looks as if like it might not work out for him? All these other teams, do you know what would have happened if Mainoo was in the academy? Bro, they would have made something work. Bro, if Mainoo got promoted, if Mainoo was in Liverpool, yeah, they might not have signed Szoboszlai. They might not have felt they need to sign McAllister, one of these players, Gravenberg, one of them. If Mainoo was in Chelsea, maybe they don't spend 120 million on Enzo Fernandez. Maybe. If Mainoo was in Chelsea, maybe they don't spend that amount of money on Enzo Fernandez. Or maybe they do, and they still find a way to make it that Mainoo works in that system. They still find a way. But maybe they don't spend 120 million on Enzo Fernandez. If Mainoo was in Man City, maybe they don't spend the amount of money that they spent on like one of them, whether it's Checky or Renders. Maybe they don't spend the amount of money. Maybe they invest in Mainoo and they decide, not even maybe, they would invest in Mainoo and decide to work something around it so that it works, because they know how talented he is. So why Man United, you have, like, Mainoo is the type of player that, like, you see in other teams, like, like from an outside point of view, you see him playing for your rivals and you're jealous. That's the type of player that Mainoo is. You are jealous. I think that Mainoo is like, what? Bro, what's that thing, like, what's that thing that we say in Nigeria? Better pass my neighbor. Better pass my neighbor, bro. Mainoo is better pass my neighbor, bro. You know when you see a neighbor with big generator, better pass my neighbor. Mainoo is a player, better pass my neighbor. People will be jealous. People are jealous. But right now, it's not working for him, so there's nothing to be jealous of. There's nothing to be jealous of. Something needs to give. This system right now, we're seeing it like, it's developing. Things are becoming better. It's becoming well. Like, things are getting better. But it is still not fully developed, especially in midfield. So while you're doing the building blocks for that midfield here, why not make sure that there's a space there for Mainoo? Why not make sure that, like, something there works for Mainoo? He has already, like I said, he said that he has plans for Mainoo. I'm happy with that. But you need to make, like, you can't just say that. Because right now, from an outside point of view, we don't see it. You need to make something work. I do have, like, a tactical analysis with the whole Šeško thing. I do have a whole tactical analysis. I think that Ruben Amorim is signing Šeško as, like, more of, like, a, like, we're going to see a lot of, like, balls played to Šeško, but we're going to see a lot of, like balls played from in behind to Šeško to, like, kind of like bring it down for, like, one of the calms kind of thing. And what I think Ruben Amorim is trying to do is that, like, he's trying to take away that midfield, like that second phase of play, because he knows that we don't have the ability. I think that Amorim has kind of like come to the conclusion that, like, we're not going to sign a midfielder like a proper like DM that can hold the ball and everything. I think he has come to that conclusion that like that's just not happening this window, and if it happens, like it's happening, like he can't back that happening. So I think that the reason why he's so big on Sesko is because like he has the ability. Because if you guys watch Sesko, if you guys have watched highlights or watched him in like one of these like European competitions or watched him play for Leipzig, you see the type of player that he is. That he's like, he has very, very deft touches. Like, you know, he play both Sesko, he can bring it down for one of your players. He can bring it down for Mbeumo, he can bring it down for Konya, and he's a big man in general, right? Like, he's a big man. I think that Ruben Amorim is trying to take away that second phase of play because he knows that we don't have that right now. I think that's why he's so big on Sesko. I think that's even why like he chose Sesko over Watkins. Like, as much as age has something to do with it, I think that's partly why he chose Sesko over Watkins. That's my own tactical analysis. Is that I think that he's trying to take away that midfield, that second phase of play, because right now we don't have. You saw Ugarte in that Everton game. We saw our midfield in that Everton game. It was nowhere to be found. It was poor. It was poor, especially when we're trying to build up. We don't have build up play right now from the back. We cannot build up because we don't have the midfield options to be building up from the back. Give Ugarte the ball and the guy starts fidgeting. Mainoo is not like that type of player. Like, you know, he's not Vitinha, like in terms of the way they build up from the back and everything. He's not that type of player. And neither, like, we never thought he was. Like, he has the potential to be, like, you know, if he puts work into it and everything, has potential to be, but he's not that type of player. So we don't have that right now. So I think that Ruben Amorim is trying to take away that second phase of play. And it can work potentially, but like, you know, how sustainable is that? Like, you know, he's something that he did at Sporting Lisbon, right? Like, you know, something that we saw him do at Sporting Lisbon, where like, you know, they just play the ball over to Gyökeres. They kind of like attract pressure and they play the ball over to Gyökeres. It's something we've seen him do. So it's not like new or anything, but it's like, I think that one of the main reasons why like he's so big on it right now is because he knows that a midfielder is not happening, especially like a midfielder of the profile that they need is not happening. The options right now are too expensive, and like he just knows that like that is just very limited and it's very like it's not happening. I think he knows that it's not happening. Although saying that it's too expensive is just kind of crazy because they're about to spend 90 million, 85, whatever it is on Sesko. So who is more like who is too expensive when we're spending 85 million on a striker? Just saying, like, a striker is needed. This is not a Sesko video. I'm not even going to talk about Sesko throughout this video because I can talk about him for ages and just give my opinion on that deal. But like, this is not a striker video. But what like we do need a striker. Is Sesko that man? I don't know. But like we need a striker regardless. So yeah, I think that's what he's trying to do. But like, I just think that right now there's just no plan for that midfield. Like, you know, we kept Bruno fine. I don't think Bruno wanted to join Saudi. I don't think Amorim wanted him to leave and everything. What now? Where does Bruno fit? Is he a camp? Is he going to play camp? Because like we know that he doesn't fit in the Amorim camp the way that your Konya and Mbeumo do, the way that your Ahmad does. We know that for a fact that he doesn't. So does he play camp? Because Bruno has to play. If you keep Bruno at Man United, he has to play. So where does he play? And if Bruno is playing, what happens with Mainoo? Because right now we're not in Champions League, we're not in Europa League, so it's one game a week. So if Bruno is playing every single game week in, week out, because you cannot put Bruno and Mainoo next to each other, might as well just not show up for the game. You just get run to. Might as well not show up for the game. So where do you put Mainoo? I'm not saying that Mainoo needs to start every game, like, you know, he's still in his development phase and everything. He doesn't need to start every single game, but he needs to play. And something needs to give at some point. Maybe not now. Maybe now is already too late for like, you know, going into like this season. But something needs to give. We need something to give. Mainoo needs to play, because how long before Mainoo just decides that it's just not working? It's just not working. Like, I love Man United. It has been a dream since I was a youth to play for Man United. I was in the academy. I watched the best of the best play for Man United, and I dreamed of wearing that jersey, playing for the first team. But I don't think it's working out right now. Like, you know, I don't think it's working out for me in this system. I don't think that, like, you know, I think my development has been stunted. I think that there is more for me out there. How long before that happens? Because I don't think it's that long, in my opinion. I think that Mainoo gives it like 1 to 2 seasons max, before he decides that it's just not working out for him, and there'll be clear signs that it's not working out. So how long before Mainoo makes that decision? We cannot allow him to get to that point of making the decision. We cannot even allow him to get to the point of thinking about making the decision. We cannot. Do you know how many teams will be, bro? Teams will be licking their lips when they see that Mainoo is free on the, like Mainoo is on the market. They'll be licking their lips, bro. And knowing Man United won't get more than 50 million for Mainoo, a player like Mainoo won't get more than 50 million. The guy will go to one of these teams and just be an absolute baller. No, I don't agree. I'm sorry. I back Ruben Amorim. I back the system, and I'll never tell him to change his whole system. I'll never, like, one of the first things I said when Ruben Amorim was coming to United is that he cannot back down. Like, you know, like, you cannot back down. You need to play this your system that you have advertised, that you have promised would work. You have to continue when times are toughest. You have to continue. So I'm not saying that you should change that, but within this system, within everything that you're doing, something needs to give where Kobbie Mainoo becomes one of the main players in this system, where Kobbie Mainoo becomes a consistent figure in the squad. Something needs to give, in my opinion. Because if Mainoo leaves at some point, if Mainoo starts talking about leaving, starts thinking about leaving, I can't say I'll not be a Man United fan anymore because that's impossible. But I can say that, like, I'll lose faith in Amorim, knowing that you had that amount of talent at your disposal and you couldn't do anything with it. Garnacho is a talented player, but if I'm being real, I never felt like he was as talented as Garnacho. As Mainoo, I never felt like he was there. Like, he is very talented, but he's not Mainoo level. Like, I don't love the idea of losing Garnacho, but like, I can fathom the idea more than the idea of losing Mainoo. I can fathom the idea of losing Garnacho more than the idea of losing Mainoo. But if we lose Mainoo at some point to one of these teams, and it will be a big team as well. Mainoo is not going to Brentford. It will be a big team as well. To be like a Chelsea, a Liverpool, something like that. Kiss, like, licking their lips, knowing that a talent like that just got, like, kind of like thrown away. They'll be licking their lips. They'll be laughing to the bank. That's what will happen if we decide to lose Mainoo. Something needs to give. I need to see something like going, like, I don't know when, because like I said, like, it might be too late going into this season, but at some point I need to see a situation where Mainoo is like consistently a figure in this squad. He doesn't have to start every single game, but he cannot just be a passerby. He cannot just be allowing games to pass him by. A World Cup is coming. Mainoo wants to be involved in that World Cup. He was involved with England in the Euros or whatever. He knows that he can be a constant. Like, if Mainoo stops getting called up for England, that is even when you start thinking, obviously, like, it's clearly not working out for Man United if, like, England is not calling me up. Clearly, like, that's what he start saying. The manager that played him is gone. This is a new manager. He needs to see new things before he calls him up. How long before that happens? Before, games just continue to pass Mainoo by? England has started calling up players and Mainoo is not one of them. He's got to start thinking, like, Mainoo backs himself. Like, I don't know him personally. I don't know who he is, but he backs himself. I think he backs himself to be a constant figure in England, to be a big player. He has the talent to be a big player, so something needs to give. I've already said who I think Mainoo is. Like, Mainoo is a 4-3-3 man. You play him in a 3. You put him next to a box midfielder and a DM and you cook. That's the type of player that Mainoo is. He's not a pivot man. I'm not saying, like I said, like, this whole Amorim system is a pivot, but like, the tactical things that you can do, I don't know them. I cannot give you them. But I know that managers do this all the time, where there's tactical tweaks that you put into that squad that you make it work, especially for your best players. And it needs to work, in my opinion. It needs to work. Because if Mainoo leaves Man United, then I don't know where you find me. But you don't find me here. That's what I'll say. You don't find me here. Yeah, but with that comes the end of this episode. What do you guys think? What do you guys think is the best place for Mainoo? What do you guys think that it ever work for Mainoo and Man United? What do you think Ruben Amorim can do to make sure that Mainoo fits in this squad? Is Mainoo going to leave? Does Mainoo have to leave? Like, what do you think? Are you backing Mainoo in this system? Are you backing Mainoo and United? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But yeah, that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try and stay consistent, keep on pushing out episodes, and I just hope to see you guys again next time. Safe.